So I completely dropped off the map for the last 12 days, and I think a lot of you guys know the reason why. I have been playing the crap out of the new Ashes of Creation Fresh Start server, as many are dubbing Phase 2.5. I've been playing this a lot, or so I thought. Now, normally I consider myself to be a pretty hardcore player, but holy crap, are there a ton of people playing Ashes of Creation a lot. Right now, I'm currently level 22, which I feel like is pretty good, and I think for the most part, that's pretty good. I think I'm sort of in a bubble, a little bit of an echo chamber of hardcore players just because I'm in a hardcore guild. But I'm level 22, and I feel like everyone is lapping me or ahead of me. There are people in my guild that have been 25 for many days. Some of them have 2 level 25 characters, are working on their 3rd level 25 character. People are really, really into Ashes of Creation, or at least the player base that's currently playing the game seems to be disproportionately hardcore. Maybe that's because the game is an alpha. I'm not sure, but I am literally one of the lowest level people in my guild. And I'm sure most of you guys know my MMO history. Usually, I'm at the front of the pack. Not this time around. I am in the more casual guild, and I am one of the few people that is not 25. Currently, we have, I think, close to 80 to 100 level 25s in the guild. We have one full guild full of 25s, and I think the second guild is almost full with all of those people being level 25, which is just insane. I love the game more than anyone, but I just have a few things in real life that pull me away from the game that I just can't neglect. I neglect most things to play the game, but I do still try to go to the gym every day. I try to take a shower at least a few times a week. I have a lovely wife that I try to spend time with for her mental health and my cardiovascular health. I just have other things that I do as well as play the game. I still play the game a lot, and it just makes me wonder what some of these people do. Like, what do they have going on where they literally play the game nonstop, no breaks, 18 hours a day for 2 weeks straight? Like, it's pretty crazy, some of these people. So, that, and I also am sort of intentionally not trying to burn myself out. I do play the game at a bit of a slower pace. I smell the roses. I explore systems. I, nitpick around the systems, the combat in particular. I really like to get a deep dive in. So sometimes I'll, take the scenic route and just sort of check things out and be a little bit more exploratory rather than just like hard grind, most efficient route possible, 18 hours a day. Because I think that's just more fun, and I don't want to burn myself out on an alpha video game where I'm just going to have to do it all again. So how'd the servers hold up? Well, in my opinion, I think the launch went pretty well. You had your typical login issues for the first 2 hours. Everybody was crowded, all in Lion's Hold. And honestly, after those first 2 hours, I think it went pretty smoothly. We didn't start seeing more issues until a few days later when things like the Cephalon server worker got overloaded. But I think all things considered, things have gone pretty well. I am continually impressed with the performance of the game. They actually set an Unreal Engine record for the most concurrent players on Unreal Engine at one time. And that was early on. They ended up breaking that record again with 8,200. I think they had 6,000 some people hammering the login servers the second they came up. And then they set that record again with 8,000 some concurrent players. So I think this is impressive for multiple reasons. Number one, they don't have their server meshing technology up and running yet. That's just a huge key component of the game that will help with the performance that they just don't have running yet. So theoretically, when they get that working, that will help their performance pretty dramatically. Another huge thing they don't have right now is they still have one starter zone. So for the servers to just not fall over with everybody going through Lion's Hold, I'm pretty impressed. Number three, everybody is still on one continent. The whole world is still incredibly congested at the very start because everybody's going through one particular spot. And even when they, added Samia's Hope, there's still very limited amounts of content until you get to like level 12 or 13. Once you get to level 12 or 13, the world really opens up and people can spread out. But again, you have that huge bottleneck there at the start. And for them to be having, 6,000, 8,000 concurrent players all going through Lion's Hold is pretty crazy for it to still function. And number four, it's an alpha video game. Even if you're optimistic on the release date of this game, most people optimistically are saying it's at least like a year and a half, 2 years away. That's kind of where I'm at. I think they're moving pretty quick. So that's where I'm at. And some people are saying multiple years, like 2-3 years at least. So wherever you are on that spectrum, it's still a while. They have a long time to cook and figure this out. Now, I know their initial goal was to have 10,000 concurrent players on one server at one time. And that's a lot of people. That is absolutely a lot of people. If they only go with 10,000, that's still pretty impressive. But, you know, they hit 8,000 plus with what we have now. And that is in a world where the continent is still being expanded pretty dramatically, as well as we're getting an additional other second continent, as well as the seas and the associated islands on the sea. I don't know. Maybe they revise that number up. Maybe we have more than 10,000 concurrent players. I guess it really just depends on how much of a technological breakthrough they have with the server meshing and the continued optimization and the continued networking improvements. But like, if we're at 8,000 some already and it's not like falling over, I'm pretty impressed. And I think a lot of people would like to see them err on the side of less servers that are a little bit crowded, maybe a little too crowded at times, but always bustling, versus having too many servers and some of them kind of suck. I think a lot of people are really enjoying the mega server experience for the most part. We'll get to some of the frustrations later, but I think people kind of just like being in this like busy place where you go in the cities and there's just like people everywhere. It's cool. I really do like the mega server with EU on it. Conceptually, I just think it's fun. So for the most part, it was pretty smooth sailing for me. There was one period where I got on the Cephalon server just by total accident. I was on that server just running through and I crashed and then I couldn't get back in for a little bit. So that sort of sucked. But other than that, really didn't have any issues. I did have an issue with the super powered mob bug. There was a bug for honestly a while in this phase where when the servers would restart, the mobs, until you killed them one time, would be super powered. Some of them would hit like 3 times harder than they should normally. And this led to a lot of interesting situations where the Grims, the little bunny rabbit mobs, would be like 2 and 3 shotting people. And I actually got farmed by an alpha wolf that was camping me at the Ember Spring. I would res and then get farmed by this 1-star alpha wolf, just like 2 and 3 shotting me. And if you're familiar with wolves in the game, you can't outrun them. The fucking wolves are fast as shit. And I ended up just literally logging off for the night. And luckily, some hero managed to kill that thing by the time I logged back in the morning. Unlike the other phases, I didn't have any issues not being able to find mobs to kill or having to compete for tags or anything like that. Maybe that was just me subconsciously avoiding the more populated areas, but I didn't really have any issues leveling up, despite the fact that there were 6,800 people hammering the login screen at 10 a.m. on a Thursday, which again just goes to show you the hunger people have for this game, for there to be that many people on the split second it comes up to be hammering the login screen is crazy. Speaking of crazy, let's talk about the Battle of the Sweats. There was absolutely a little unofficial race to see who could get the first level 25 character, and people were really going for it. They were, got to give a mention to Flanker. He played for 27 hours straight, streamed the whole thing. 27 hours, barely got out of his chair. That's pretty crazy. Just line drive, straight going for it. And then he came back, he went to sleep for a little bit, came back and did it again for another 18 hours. But unfortunately, that was not enough. The title of the Realm First Level 25 goes to the guild Aura, which is my guild, and these guys went crazy. They had what they call the golden run. They didn't really have anything go wrong except for one of them went corrupt when they were bullying somebody out of a spot, and that's basically what they did. They logged in, they had a plan. A lot of other people logged in and had a plan, but they logged in and had a plan and then bullied everybody else out of their plan and just sort of got to do what they wanted. They ended up getting like 4 of the Flesh Ripper swords, which if you're familiar with those, that's really good when all of your physical users have Flesh Ripper, which is just an insanely powerful sword right now. So they got the drops, and then they just went out to the Lawless PvP zone, which has a 10% XP bonus, and pretty much just wrote it out there. And they did have people try and kill them. They had a large group of people that outnumbered them try to kill them, but then they just beat them 8v15, and that was that. And I mean, after that, what are you supposed to do? They won like 8v15. That's kind of a wrap. And they just sort of cruised to level 25 in the Lawless zone and didn't really seem to hit any speed bumps or anything. Everybody managed to stay in the game and didn't really have any technical issues. Now, I did talk to them after they finished and they reached level 25. I don't think they're going to be doing it again, or at least not most of them. I think most of them enjoyed the fact that they were the first people to do it, but they probably won't be doing that again anytime soon. That's kind of the vibe I got. They were absolutely a little delirious. Some of them even suggested that they were going to play a game of League of Legends before going to bed, which, yeah, that's a mental state beyond reason there to do all that and then want to unironically play a game of League. Like, holy fuck. So what was I doing during all this? Well, I was just taking it easy. I was doing a lot of solo leveling or like random small pug groups where I wasn't necessarily in like the big boy dungeon, but we'd be out, doing elite mobs or just really efficiently slaughtering mob camps. And I mainly did that because I just had a lot of instances where I would have to like go for a few hours. And the real key to leveling quickly in Ashes of Creation is doing an 8-man static group where you just have 8 people that are just going to sit there for 16 hours a day and nobody's moving. Everybody's taking breaks at the same time. Everybody's going to sleep at the same time, and you wake up and you do it again and again until you reach max level. That's how you level fast and efficiently. And it's so much faster to do it like that because it's crazy how much better it is. But if you're somebody like me where you just have to go for 3 hours, that sort of breaks apart the static group and you just can't pull that off. So I was just having fun, taking it easy, cruising, minding my own business until I was griefed. That's right, Zyback, the great Zyback was griefed. I was sitting there minding my own business and I noticed there were a bunch of bodies around me. Now, previously, there was a group of Federation players farming these level 11 Minotaurs, and I see all these bodies around the Minotaurs, and I assume that they suicided to fast travel. That's a common tactic in Ashes of Creation. You just die and then teleport to Steel Bloom or wherever you have your respawn. Because surely Federation did not wipe, their whole raid group did not wipe to level 11 Minotaurs. For you guys that don't know who Federation are, they are the bad boys of the Lyneth server. There is no way that a group of Federation, the feared Federation, died to level 11 Minotaurs. So I see the corpses and I just loot them because I don't want to see it despawn, right? I'm just a casual pleb. I might as well. There's also another guy watching me do it, and I'm flagged for PvP, so he could attack me if he wanted to, but he didn't, so I assume everything is kosher. Once I loot the bodies, I see that it's actually quite a bit of stuff. Now, maybe it's not a lot of stuff for the Federation, which is why I assumed they, just left it behind. How am I to know? How am I to know? So I get all that stuff, and then I see it's quite a bit for your boy Zyback. So I just go and go to the vendor and bank and whatnot, and I come back. And when I come back, I am griefed. I'm griefed. 1v8. All 8 of them decide to murder me in cold blood for no reason whatsoever. That's right. Even Zyback gets griefed. Now, any of you guys that play Ashes are probably going, whoa, did they just actually kill you in cold blood? Like they didn't accidentally corrupt it? No, these guys straight gas, all flagged up and corrupted on me, which, if you're familiar with the game mechanics currently around corruption, is a crazy thing to do. So they kill me, and I just come on back. And when I come back, the person that got the killing blow on me is still farming the spot. So I just kill him, and I loot him, and I take his bow. Luckily, he's a ranger, so he doesn't really need his bow that much, right? So I take his bow and a few other pieces of his gear, and then I go and start looting some bodies again, because surely they're not going to corrupt and kill me again in cold blood, right? No, they kill me again, which is insane. Honestly, insane behavior. So I have my new Sanctus longbow. If anybody's interested in the Sanctus longbow, use coupon code Federation. I'll give you half off. So I come back to the spot and they're gone. So they did not remain in the spot. I guess they learned their lesson on corrupting on me because I just got some free gear out of it. Now let's talk about what's happening in Phase 2.5 a little bit more broadly. So right now, player progression in Ashes of Creation is a little bit weird because the players are out-leveling the nodes. They're out-leveling the current crafting. So that leaves crafters in a little bit of a weird situation where they can't craft anything that's actually useful for endgame. Therefore, everyone is just camping the crap out of these boss drops. And since all of the best gear comes from boss drops currently, it's led to a game loop where everybody is just sitting at bosses competing for mob tags, and it's a DPS race. Or occasionally you get some weird halfway PvP where it's like people flag up just to CC you so you do less damage and lose the tag to the boss. It's very weird pseudo PvP. It's not a fun gameplay loop. And this is tricky because the nodes being underleveled compared to the players is very much like a one-time thing. I almost suspect this will happen at the release of Ashes of Creation because it's kind of tricky to solve. It's only once where there's no higher level nodes. Like, this is a very limited time thing because a few months from now, we will have the nodes and that just won't be a problem in the game anymore. And I don't know how you like temporarily solve that. Like, maybe this is just a temporary pain point that will always exist when the game starts fresh, right? Maybe this is just baked in. So yeah, people are not loving the camping boss gameplay meta that we're in right now, but I will say that there's a lot of different kinds of gear you can get. You aren't extremely pigeonholed into getting one item, except for like maybe there's I think bracers where it's like there's just like one bracer that you can get in the entire game. It's just like a weird oddity. But for the most part, there are a lot of different kinds of gear you can get. Now, it might not necessarily be your absolute purest BIS piece. Like, yes, that probably does drop off a boss. But there are probably some substitutes that are pretty close that you can get a lot less painlessly. And I think so many people are just hell-bent on, like, I gotta get my BIS. I gotta get the absolute best item and nothing else. I will settle for nothing less. And they're making themselves miserable camping at these bosses for like 8 hours a day with everyone else who also has that idea. Whereas my strategy, I think I'm just gonna, like, this is good enough. We're not in a meta anymore where the gear just carries you. I think a lot of people are scarred from the last phase where it's like a chimpanzee with 600 spell power and a mage is lethal. Like, we're not in that anymore. The gear still matters. It absolutely still matters, but it's not going to hard carry you in the same way. So I think people maybe need to get over themselves a little bit, and maybe you can get that thing that's not necessarily BIS, but it's still pretty good. Like, it's damn close. It's 95% of the way there. Another big thing that happened this phase is that the Europeans really showed up. And I'll be honest, I underestimated the Europeans. I just didn't think they were going to show up in the way that they did because, quite frankly, their server was just sort of like a joke. It was like really dead. And I don't know. I guess the Europeans are super invigorated to fight the Americans, and that's fun. And I'm glad they showed up. I'm glad they proved me wrong. I'm glad there's more of them than I thought there was going to be. It's led to a very fun, it's fun facing new people, right? So they have really surprised us with their temporary coordination. I'm not sold on them being able to maintain this coalition of the EU, everybody on EU being united. I think that's starting to fracture a little bit right now. But the first election, we tried to like get a guy elected in the first election, and we got blown the fuck out. Like, it wasn't even close. They managed to get 499 votes for their candidate, which is an odd number. Like, that's kind of a weird number to land on, which makes me think, did they get more than 500 votes and it just like cut off at 499 for some weird like technical display reason? Or did it just happen to land on 499? Either way, we got blown the fuck out. There was no way we had anywhere close to 499 votes. We thought maybe we had a chance, but then once we saw that they could, like, dude, they obliterated any and everybody on that vote on that Nuela. So you got to hand to them. They showed up and they are temporarily very coordinated, very in sync. However, I'm hearing musings of the European alliance is starting to fracture a little bit. Part of this is because of the boss tagging metagame we're in right now. There's a limited amount of resources and everybody wants them. And when you have to play nice with a bunch of people, naturally people are going to get frustrated. So it'll be interesting to see if all of Europe will stay united against the big mean American guilds. I'm leaning on no, because it seems like the pot is starting to simmer a little bit. That makes things interesting. But I'm glad they're there. Even if their Mega Alliance breaks up, it will still be fun to play with and against all of these people that we have no experience with, because they play the game differently. It's fun to see people that play the game differently. And now for the drama. Unfortunately, there has been some hardcore cheating this phase in Ashes of Creation. This type of cheating has existed in the past, but it was pretty rare to see like a speed hacker. Right now, not very rare. And I think one of these cheats maybe went public or has like a subscription or something. But we're seeing a lot more of just like blatant like speed hack, fly hack, potentially like damage hack, one-shotting stuff. It sounds like, and I think most of like the hardcore like client-side cheating is coming from industrial RMT. I don't think this is coming from like guilds that don't like each other. This type of cheating is coming from the industrial RMT guys. I'm almost certain of it. The most common form of cheating that most people are experiencing is they're seeing caravans just blow past them at light speed, and this is able to generate an insane amount of gold really quickly, running caravans at speeds that are not possible. And then presumably these people are selling their gold to cringe boomers. These client-side hacks happen in every single MMO. I don't know a single MMO it hasn't happened in. World of Warcraft has had their fair share of crazy client hacks. The craziest one I remember was the gold farmers would hack on level 1 orcs, and they would fly in the city to spell out URLs in the sky to their gold selling websites. They weren't just doing it to make the gold. They were using it as a way to advertise the gold they were selling by essentially having like a drone, like if you've ever seen like a drone light show, but imagine that, but level 1 orcs in the sky making letters and URLs. Crazy. Even though some of these Ashes of Creation guilds are a little bit underhanded and they're super competitive and they might do a lot of shady things to win or get an advantage, I haven't heard any reports of any actual like real guilds using their like hardcore client side cheats to do anything dubious in PvP or against other real players. I really think this is just an instance of commercial RMT just trying to make as much money as they can before they get banned. And luckily in our case, this stuff, the way they're doing it, it's super easy to track. Intrepid can just look at a log and see like, oh, this caravan left the desert, and then it's in the tropics 2 minutes later. Like, you know, they've got the logs. They know how long it takes to do the routes. And when people are doing the routes faster than humanly, like it's pretty obvious, like caught red-handed kind of moment. Intrepid is absolutely going to ban these accounts. Unfortunately, it just takes time. And will they be able to ban them fast enough to where it's just not worth the gold seller's time? That's going to be the name of the game. All these RMT companies are doing, they're soulless entities. They are purely doing calculus on, can these accounts make enough money to justify the time and money they put into them? If they can, then they'll continue to do it. If they can't, then they won't. And the big thing, guys, is stop buying gold. Literally, buying gold is the worst thing you can do in an MMO because you are directly funding the most cancerous, poisonous thing to the game possible. These people, these commercial RMT companies, will ruin the game in every conceivable way if it allows them to make a few more pennies more. They will bot the game. They will hack the game. They will create fake websites to phish people's accounts. They will steal credit card numbers. They will exploit low-wage people in different countries. Like, these companies are the worst possible thing. So when you buy gold from one of these companies, you are directly funding that. You are directly funding the downfall of your game. Obviously, people hate cheating of any kind and any sort of exploit. Yeah, it sucks when people use leveling exploits or somebody's taking advantage of an obviously overtuned item to do more damage to a rival guild, whatever it may be. People don't like that. But these are mostly isolated incidents that don't affect the entire game. When you buy gold, it's affecting the entire game. It is making the entire game worse for everyone. And not only that, it creates a lot of work for the developers to have to put out all these fires when they could be making features for the game. So please do not buy gold. I understand there's a lot of incentive to, there's a lot of power to be gained by buying it, but please fucking don't. Just don't. And Intrepid, please, for the love of God, ban the people that buy gold. If you know for sure, and this is a home run, like this person for sure bought gold, ban them from the game. I've said this for the longest time. If Intrepid bans 5% of the people that buy gold, meaning that 95% of the people get away with it and only 5% get punished, that will stop a lot of the gold, of the people selling gold, because there won't be any people to buy it, because people will be scared to buy it. Luckily for Ashes, it's a long spin up to get an account like in-game viable. So when people get banned, it's going to suck. Much worse than it would suck in a game like World of Warcraft, which doesn't even enforce, you know, their gold selling. They even sell their own. It's so cringe. You absolutely have to ban the people that buy the gold. If people are scared to buy the gold, then there won't be a market for these gold sellers to sell to. Now, I'm sure you're still going to have, you know, instances of Johnny selling gold to Sarah, like just like one-to-one transactions. That's always going to happen. You know, so, somebody buys you a beer and they give you some Ashes of Creation gold. Like that kind of stuff is always going to happen, but that is so much less insidious. And honestly, who cares? That's a lot less insidious than these commercial RMT companies that are just soulless entities. They don't like the game. They don't care about the game. They just look at the game as they're just truly parasites. They look at the game as something they can extract from, and they don't care if it fucking dies. At least a lot of the people that exploit and take advantage of things in a shitty way, at least they like the game. They want to be good at the game and revered in the game, even if it's kind of in a shitty way. Like these gold selling companies don't give a fuck. They don't give a fuck about anything. And the unfortunate reality for Ashes of Creation is that there's going to have to be a lot of people that are going to have to be educated and re-educated on the consequences of buying gold, because there's absolutely cringe boomers right now buying gold in the Ashes of Creation alpha. It is absolutely happening because these people have a lot of disposable income. That's a good thing for Ashes of Creation because they'll buy all the fancy shiny things and they spend $500, $1,000, $10,000 on packages. But unfortunately, a lot of the same same demographic will also buy gold because what's $20? Like, they make plenty of money. But it ruins the game. It ruins the game. Ban them. Ban them from the fucking game. Up next, on a much lighter note, we have a lot of people that were banned and reset for using leveling exploits. And I'll give you 10 seconds to type in the comments below. Who do you think was using leveling exploits? You'll never guess. That's right, it was Envious. I'm sure most of you guys wouldn't have seen that coming. I mean, it's been a while. I mean, holy fuck. I'm honestly amazed. They keep doing it. They just keep doing it. These people have been doing the same shit over and over again for months, just in broad daylight. And I guess they just don't know, like, the premise of laying low. Like, surely they had to know that people were going to be, like, keeping a little bit of an eye on them, right? But I guess not. Multiple groups were reset for safe spotting mobs in Envious. Again, that's crazy, right? Like, does it get any crazier than that? Yes. Yes, it does. Because the same groups, again, in the same fucking phase, got reset again. That's right. We're talking about two groups of the same group of players getting reset twice in less than a week. So they got to like level, 15 the first time, got reset. Started to 0, or started 1 again, then got to like level 10 again, and got reset again. Like, I mean, you can't help but laugh. Like, fuck. Honestly, I'm just dumbfounded that they did it again. Just so brazenly, out in the public. Like, this is not something that is, like, unknown. Like, you have guys on the Lore Forged podcast, which is just like a group of, like, casual dad gamers, talking about, like, Envious exploit. Like, everybody knows. And they still did it again, multiple times. Like, it's crazy. Now, usually what happens in these kind of games is that, like, hardcore guild A will do something that hardcore guild B doesn't like. It's like, maybe that's not the spirit of the game. And usually these guilds bicker back and forth. Oh, they're pieces of shit for using that thing. Oh, no, you're a piece of shit. And they bicker. And it usually is a very isolated incident. It doesn't affect the larger player base. But no, you have guys on the Lore Forge podcast, a podcast of dad gamers, casual players, which is fine, talking about how much like Envious exploit, like it's permeated the culture of the game, and they still did it. And not only did they do it, some of these people were so unbelievably brazen. It's honestly insane the level that some of these people went to. Not only were they like safe spotting the mobs and bugging them out in crazy areas, some of these people went as far as to bug into dungeons that are not available. These are walled off dungeons you're not supposed to be able to get to. So they exploited their way into the dungeon, then exploited in a safe spot where the mobs couldn't hit them, and then equipped gear that is not obtainable, that you should not be able to have. And they're wearing the gear. And of course, like, the GM just flies in and is like, what are you guys doing? And their response, I swear to God, was, we're testing bugs. I mean, that's not a lie. It's not a lie. but it's pretty damn funny and is another phrase we have to add to the list, which currently includes, it's called knowing tech. Don't let them see you log out. And now we're testing bugs. I mean, we got some fun zingers. And the envious L's just keep piling up because not only did a lot of their people continually get reset back to level 1, they didn't win any elections, which for an alliance their size is pretty crazy, because I think most people assumed like they got like 1 or 2 towns, like they're gonna win 1 or 2 towns. They just have a lot of bodies. They're gonna have a lot of votes. But no, they don't have a single one, which is wild. Future Zyback here. As I was editing this video, there was a new development, and that new development is that Envious is disbanding. That's right, they're hanging up the towel. Now, I know the meme of 1 gorilla versus 100 men is super popular, but the real question we should be asking is 100 Envious members versus the Terms of Service. And it looks like the Terms of Service has won. So it turns out Envious is disbanding, and they are rebranding to a new guild called Gilded. That's right, it's the Gilded Guild, and they're not going to exploit. I'm sure all of the people that exploited in Envious are not going to be part of this guild, right? Surely none of those people that know tech will be in Gilded, right? I mean, who knows? You know, stranger things have happened. I would not have gone with the name. I think the guild. What guild are you in? I'm in the Gilded Guild. I'm in the Guild Gilded. I'm in the Guild Gilded. Like, did the same person that came up with the Xbox One come up with this name? Like, it's not a great name, but we will see. Maybe the Gilded Guild will be above water and above board. Shit. In all seriousness, guys, I know I am not an angel. I've had my trolley streak in the past with, you know, some certain World of Warcraft servers may have crashed. Some of you guys may have been around for that. I'm not an angel. You know, I've played in that gray area before, but I think nuance has to exist, right? You can't bug into areas you shouldn't be in while also bugging out the mobs and equipping gear you shouldn't be able to obtain. Like, come on, guys, come on. Now, I'm going to give you an example of a potential exploit that is in that gray area. So my guild stumbled upon an interesting leveling method where in the June Dark, in the lawless PvP zone, there are these slime mobs that duplicate. So what somebody was just testing, like, if I let these things duplicate and I just let them continually duplicate, can I AoE farm them and get a ton of XP? So once they discovered you can just continually let them duplicate, they sent a message to a GM right away. And the GM was like, I'm not sure if this is intended. But I don't know, like, whatever. So it's kind of in that gray area. Now, it didn't actually end up mattering because it wasn't actually an effective leveling method, but you can kind of see how something like that in the PvP area, you still have to kill the mobs, and when you let them duplicate, it's obviously super risky because if they touch you, you know, you have to kite them perfectly or you just get one shot and die. So you can kind of see how something like that, if it was an effective leveling method, is that necessarily bad? You know, you're in a PvP zone, like literally a passerby could just hit you with any CC and you're dead. You know, just 10,000 slimes come and get you. But ultimately, it didn't actually matter. Nobody ended up doing it because I believe the duplicate, like if the duplicate duplicated, then you didn't get experience for that, and it just didn't end up being faster than just leveling traditionally. But that is something that is much more in that gray area. Another example would be just like random animation cancels, like animation canceling with like dodge roll, things like that are like higher execution. Like, isn't necessarily intended that, you know, you cut off half the animation, but the damage still goes through. Things like that have always been more of a gray area. I think that stuff is very different than safe spotting mobs in areas that you shouldn't be in the first place and equipping gear that you can't obtain. Like, come on. So what's next? Well, my rogue is level 22, and I'm hoping to get that to level 25 within the first couple days the servers are up, just to be able to do some in-game PvP. I do not feel like I'm that far behind of my peers. I know a lot of people, they get that feeling, oh, I'm hopelessly behind. Here's the thing, guys. These people that are level 25 are reaching their soft power cap. You know, they get the gear, and then there's nowhere further they can go. You can only get so much. And with the way the stats are right now with the power DRs and with the other stat DRs, it's not like it was last phase where it's just like you just have this huge vertical power that you can obtain. You can't do that right now. It's very much a hurry up and wait situation for a lot of the people that rushed to 25. They got to level 25, they got a few drops, and now they're going back and doing all the things that a lot of you guys are doing as you level up. So don't feel like you're hopelessly behind. You're just going to get, one shot. That's not really the case. You just don't get carried by gear this phase like you did in the last phase. The last phase, like I said previously, a chimpanzee with 600 spell power on a mage was lethal. Like you just could get carried by your gear, and that is much less this time around. And I really am enjoying that. So I don't feel like I'm that far behind. Another thing, I have to give a big shout out to one of my guild mates that handed me a Flesh Ripper. A guy named Odile in my guild in Aura just gave me a Flesh Ripper. He had an extra one and just gave it to me at like level 11, which, I mean, dude, thank God for you, bro. You are a real G for giving me that. That weapon is so sick. But overall, I'm having a lot of fun with this phase. I'm really enjoying the EU-US mega server. The new TTK changes, I'm really enjoying this far. I think the game is definitely in a much better spot than it was last phase. I know some people disagree with that. There are a lot of people that play this game for like 18 hours a day and just complain about it the whole time. Like, they play the game nonstop and are just angry. And some serious advice I have for you is, like, just take a fucking break, man. Just step away for a little bit, and when you come back, you'll be refreshed and you'll enjoy it more. I don't get it. I don't get some of these people that play the game this hard and just are not having fun. And I try to take active breaks and not play too much, so I can appreciate it, right? Like the guys that eat hot dogs professionally, when they train, they don't eat hot dogs because they still want to appreciate the hot dogs a little bit during the eating competitions. That's kind of how I am with MMOs. I don't want to play the fuck out of this game and then not appreciate it by the time it actually comes out. I still want to have some juice in the tank for when it matters. I'm still gonna enjoy my hot dog, but some of y'all need to chill. And you fucking cringe motherfuckers, stop buying gold. Stop buying gold. Oh my God, you cringe boomers.